MCs are ready. Great. Please take it over and welcome on board, Prasanna sir. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all. I see that we have 20 participants here so far. Are we waiting for anyone, or is it all right to go ahead?
So these are the people who will be who are from the organizing committee and team, because we have not shared this particular link elsewhere. All the other participants will be joining us from YouTube Live.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir. So then, over to the MCs. Please take it ahead.
Sure. Just give me one moment.
Yeah, Sahiti and Nilay, you may start.
Okay. Okay, so good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. So I hope you all are excited for the session, because I am, because I know how important business marketing is. Be it the consumer, be it the marketer, whoever it is, I know what business marketing is. So with that, I'll ask you guys, get something to eat, freshen up, and also chill out and sit down and listen to this wonderful session we have planned. And take it over.
Research is to see what everybody else has seen, and to think what nobody else has thought. With these beautiful words of Albert Singisky, a very warm welcome to our dear audience and to our respectable speaker. On behalf of CheckDate, I, Nilay, along with Saiti, I here to welcome you all to the 5th day of CheckDate's first ever International Research Consortium, world's first approach towards experiential growth. The future of research awaits us, and so do the unexplored horizons. The flame, the curiosity to keep going on to uncover new secrets of the world must always go on. We are here today to find out what we can contribute more to the world of research. Supposition might be good, but nothing is better than the sweet smell of success we get after we figure out what the actual cost is. Here on this stage, you're free to question anything you want, since it's not the answer that enlightens us, the question is. This consortium will give you the code to open the doors behind which lies an ocean of opportunities that you can get never enough of. So take in what CheckDate here has to offer you, and someday we'll be here introducing you to the young minds of that time.
This consortium is brought to you in collaboration with ACM LNM, IIT Jaipur, Heartfulness Organization, BMSC, ESIL IIT Mandi, IEEE BMSC, CodeChef, Microsoft Innovations Club, Music Club, Dance Club, Dramatics Club, VIT Chennai, Skillanta, Ojasvi LPU, and Affinity Branding, along with our sponsors, Valigo Motors and EduCheck. CheckDate brings to you yet another magnificent opportunity to traverse the professional world. It's a mega internship opportunity where talented young individuals who thrive to bring revolution in the society can be an integral part of CheckDate upon the completion of their internship period. CheckDate has provided safe and fun learning and working experience with thousands of courses to enable team members to realize their potential. Exceptional candidates can also secure a glorious letter of recommendation and a certificate of completion. You can find out more about the details at our website, and also the link is in the chat box for the website. Also, note participants that participation certificates will only be issued if you have attended at least 10 hours of the session in the consortium. So kindly fill in the feedback form at the end of each session. And feedback form links and the website links will be put up in the chat box.
Networking is not about collecting contacts. It's about planting relationships. To tell us more about business networking, making connections that matter, let me introduce our first speaker for the day, Mr. Prasanna Bhat. Mr. Prasanna Bhat is a reliable, data-driven marketing coordinator who consistently takes on challenging projects. He is ambitious at heart and likes to take on challenges with great enthusiasm. Working with his team to grow together gives him immense joy. Coming from a technical background with a bachelor's degree in engineering, and later developing greater knowledge about the consumer and market trends through a master's degree in marketing. He applies his combined knowledge as a marketing specialist at Movement in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. He has expertise in problem solving, market analysis, public speaking, and engaging high value clients, brand strategy, and target market analysis, and collaborate and lead teams. So please, sir, take it ahead and enlighten us. Please note there is a live audience watching us from the YouTube.
Perfect. And yes, thank you, Sahiti and Nilay. Nilay, thank you for that introduction. And I'm pretty sure that some of our audience would have checked the same out at my LinkedIn profile, but there's more to me than that meets the eye just on LinkedIn. As we all know, most of us do the same. We put out professionally of who we want to be and who we are at the moment on LinkedIn and other business channels out there, but it's always good to meet new people and find out more. So just to begin with, I want to confirm if it's okay to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, perfect. Just a moment. All right, I think you should be able to see my screen right now. And yeah, that's good enough for me. So now that we have a live audience and I got to know that some reputed brands and universities are backing this project, all the best for Checked It. And I hope that I do justice for your venture that's out there. So just to start out, as Nilay told, I am from a technical background, and transitioning from a technical background to a field like marketing, I wouldn't say is anybody's cup of tea. But however, most of the things that engineers do is not well communicated to laymen and or all audience directly. As we say, if you take my engineering textbook and give it to my father or mother, there's hardly something that my parents would understand. And it always has to be conveyed in words that has some sort of simplicity in it. And today, it's my talk is basically in terms of making connections that matter. And a lot of these connections have an underlying agenda of communicating well and making others remember who you are by what you say. So my background especially is in the ag tech industry, which is technology related to the agriculture domain, whatever it may be it the Internet of Things, or it may be some sort of a SaaS tool, software as a service that is being used by farmers. So there's no other better target audience out there who need simplicity in terms of technology other than farmers. So farmers, especially who have a large difficulty and a learning curve towards technology, it requires marketers like myself to make it simple for them to understand and to use technology better. And that's where I come in. I put in the hard work to make things simpler for farmers. And in general, if you ask me about making connections with an international audience, customers who are farmers here in Australia and worldwide, it's been a task for me. And I've learned a lot in this domain. I want to impart that knowledge to the budding audience who is looking at this live over here. And as you can see, I have put in my LinkedIn contact details and my personal email address. Feel free to reach out to me with any queries or help, or just to make connection with me for any kind of business needs that you have or professional needs that you have. So let me not waste any more time with my background and get started with the next agenda that we have today. This is to just go over about 30 minutes or so of what I'll be talking about. And as you can see, there's nothing that too fancy or some theorem that is over here for research inspired stuff to understand. But it's very simple, but at the same time, very important in your professional career as well. So let me just start off with right away with icebreakers. To give you a meaning into what icebreaker really is to remove the tension between two new people meeting, be it in the business world or your professional, personal matter of the fact. But there are some aspects to breaking the ice between two people or an audience and one person. You always start to or try to understand who the other person is, right? That's the first thing you want to know when you're meeting someone new. I also saw that Checked is organizing some networking events as well in this sessions that you have. And this part will actually help you a lot in those to make a longer connections or the long-term connections. Be it in the future, you want to start something on your own, you need business partners or you need to raise funds. This can be a nice template for you. So the first thing I would say is, who are you is not just for who the other person is, but also who you are and how you articulate that to the other person. So as Nilay relied upon my LinkedIn profile earlier to state who I am and what inspires me or what I'm interested in a similar fashion, before you go out into any networking events, it would be a great deal of benefit if you can list out how you are going to introduce yourself, right? If I have to say my name is so-and-so and this is what I do, or that's just the general agenda of how people try to introduce ourselves right from our first grade where we had to stand up and say, my name is so-and-so. It's not ideal for every situation out there. So I want you all to ask one question before you try to put in a template as to how you're going to introduce yourself. That is, how do you want the other person to remember you? On what grounds or what do you want the other person to remember about you? And that really makes an impact. Right? If I have to be known for marketing in the technical domain, there are certain things that I need to say to the other person to get that image through. So it's not just about what you say, it's also the agenda behind what you're saying. That is how you want the other person to remember you. And that is done by how you're going to make them feel. Right? It's not just about who you are, it's also about what you make the other person feel. And that is done once those people remember you by something. So it all goes in parallel as to what you're going to take away from the relationship and at the same time what you're going to give to the other person. So your introduction has to incorporate all these factors as to what remembering the other person, how you will remember them, how the other person will remember you, and also as to what the other person can take away from your relationship with them. And also have an agenda as to what you want from the other person as well. So all this comes under just breaking the ice with the other person. And I will go through further in detail as to how you do this and what tools do you have to do this, and which will greatly benefit you in your professional career as well. I'll explain that in a minute. So going back to the next one, doing research on people. This is something that I learned very late in my career. I used to run into meetings or, even physically going out to people and talking itself is a big task, but doing not enough research on the other person that you're meeting, it's going to put you back by a lot. So everybody feels a little bit happy when the other person recognizes you for who you are or what you do, or it might be anything that you can remember of them, about them. And the best tool that we have about doing research on people in the business world is LinkedIn itself. If you are, the other ways are, you can also speak to people who are in touch with them, which are like common connections, common friends, and also feedback from other people about the other person. So if I have to reach out to, let's say, the vice president of Capgemini or Genpact or some big company out there, it's very hard for me to reach out to the other person without knowing something recently that they have done or something that they have been working on for some time now. Why I say that is, if I don't have something common to talk about with the other person, it's really hard to keep the connection going or keep the conversation going in general. And that's the primary purpose of doing research on people. Let's say that, to give a prime example, if you're going out and meeting a person on a date, let's say you're meeting someone on a date, and one thing that's often used in the dating world is that we don't have anything common to talk about when things start to fail. And that kind of predominantly works in all sorts of connections that you make. If you don't have common interests and common things to talk about, you really can't get the conversation rolling. And primary reason to do research on people before meeting them or talking to them is for this purpose itself, which is to know common points that match with you and the other person, and also as to bring up some key points while you're conversing with them to keep the conversation going. So, and why do you want to keep the conversation going? Why can't you just straight away ask what you want? Well, that's not how it works, right? If I have to give something out, if I have to help you out or even assist you with anything, it's always a two-way street. It's a give and take kind of a policy between people, and we've been doing that for generations, right? We give some money and buy something. The transactions are never free, even though if it is marketed as free. There's something that you're giving out always. In similar sense, even in the real world, we tend to do a lot of research in the professional world before making contact or making a cold outreach to people in leadership positions, or even while taking interviews from people to hire. And we still have to do a lot of research on the background of the person, what he's doing, etc., to kind of make the connection early on. So let's say that you have found a person that you want to reach out to. It can be a male, female, different industry, not even in engineering, or any kind of category that you want to reach out to. It can be even an influencer that you really get inspired by. And you've done a little bit of research on what you want to talk to them about and what they also might be interested in. The next stage is obviously reaching out to them, right? You need to reach out to them. How do you do that? Is there a process to that? Is there an easy way to connect with them? Now, to answer that question, I'm going to teach you about cold outreach. You know, this is a skill set that is often neglected, I would say, in the business world. It's not something that people put out in their resumes that I'm an expert in cold emailing or I'm an expert in cold outreach to people. This is not something people brag about. At the same time, it is like the alphabets of making connections. It's so basic that not knowing this is going to put you back ages. Like, the first thing I would say is emails, right? So in our industry, in the marketing world, a lot of people say that emails are dead, conversions are low, people don't respond to them. But at the same time, emails are the most cost-effective way for a student or for someone who's just started their career. Emails are free to send out. You're not using any specific mass email tools or anything like that. So emails can be a very powerful way to connect with people. And how you do that is cold emails. And if you're expecting me to give some examples of cold emails, this wouldn't be the right platform because there are a billion of them. And there are a billion things to test out. Each cold email can be customized and personalized to each person. And there are a lot of variations to it. So taking down the same example as to you found some good person that you want to reach out to. Let's say, for example, you want to reach out to Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan, who's like very famous, known by a lot of people. And you've done a little bit of research and found some recent movie that they're working on and you want to reach out to them. And a cold email may not get you to the first person like Shah Rukh Khan, but it can get you into an email or an inbox of Shah Rukh Khan's ex-manager or assistant manager or someone who might not be a decision maker, at the same time who can influence the decision by the decision maker. That's the main reason of emails. If it is not even a direct contact, you can still get your foot in the boat to making that connection in the future. Where would you use this? Well, let's say that tomorrow you don't get a good placement in your campus placement and you want to get into one of your dream companies. Why not find out on LinkedIn, maybe the product manager or a product engineer, and try to reach out to them either through email or through a LinkedIn in message. And you'll find 1,000 examples of cold emails and cold LinkedIn in messages. See the pattern, see the trend, how people are sending it out, and then just create one for yourself, a common one or a personalized one if you're doing a few, and then start sending it out there, right? And it all boils down to a number game. If you send out 100 of them, maybe 20 of them would reply, and you'll make 5 to 6 connections which are really worthwhile. And that is a good start. So your connection can maybe be 1 or 2 in initial days, but at the same time, you must realize that the other person has more connections as well, whom they can help you get connected with too. So it becomes sort of like a network kind of effect as and when you start building your professional network. And then when you want referrals, you want some help, you want some more information about some companies, facts, figures, reports, whatever it may be that you need from the other person, it all starts with your first cold email or a cold in message. This can get little bit daunting at times, or might feel it's too dry to do. But at the same time, do not neglect this, as this is a first step to making any business connections in the real world. And getting a referral to a job, this is the first thing that I would do. And this is really something that I would suggest most of you engineers or who are graduating this year to try this out, even though you are placed in a good company of your liking. Try this out, try to reach out to some company that you thought you would never get into, and you might be shocked. I'm serious about that. Well, I showed you what you have to do and what kind of research has to be done before. Let me show you some sorts of tools of the trade, like I would like to call it. And I wouldn't say that not all of us have the same skill set when it comes to a good English vocabulary or speaking vocabulary in English, or be it even tools of writing better English to people, right? It's not something to be ashamed about, since all of us have some different upbringing, different sort of background. At the same time, don't ever feel that you're lagging behind, because there are always tools today that can help you out with this fact. And my personal favorite is something called as HemingwayApp.com. It's a free app which kind of grades your writing. and gives you a grade on how readable your message is. And it's completely free online, and the paid one is a desktop app. So use the free tool, write out the message in the app and see what kind of a readability score you're getting. Try to improve upon it and then go for it. So as and when you practice, later on, you would not need this. You'll be feeling more confident and you'll find things that really work for yourself. The second one, I would say, very, very useful tool. It's from hunter.io. And you can also look up alternatives for these because this might be a little bit expensive. So what this tool actually does is it scrapes emails from profiles from LinkedIn and other websites. So like I told you, you need to do research. You need to send out cold emails, but where will you find the email from for, let's say, the VP of Apple or Google? You can't find it everywhere, right? So you use tools like hunter.io to get the email from their LinkedIn profile or any other website that they might have entered it into. It also verifies the email, and then you go ahead drafting your cold email. So what if you don't have emails or any contact information of the person? Next, I would suggest you to go dive deep into LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, for the matter of fact, in any topic that you desire, and start writing to people in the groups or personally messaging them directly. So this is also a good way for small things that you would require. At the same time, never feel that it's a done and dusted tool. Groups are a very good way to initially get connected with people. So these are 3 tools I would suggest you to get started with. And as and when you go ahead, you'll find a lot more business tools that can help you with that. So we are halfway through. I would just want to speak a little bit about public speaking. This is something I've seen a lot of people get scared about. You know, you have stage fright, you have fear, your hand starts to shiver, and there are things that you don't want to do, or if you feel shy to go about doing that. And there's only one suggestion for this. We are primarily or evolutionary instinct kind of kicks in every time that you try to speak to a new person. And there's only one way to come out of that is to just go ahead and do it. What I would suggest is if you're still feeling very fearful or shy, go ahead and start reading a couple of books about this, right? There's so much of information out there to overcome this particular fear that it's from the 1980s till today, there are people writing about it, and everyone finds a new way to overcome that particular factor. Why I included this particular slide at this point is that since you are having networking events at Checked-in itself, this can be a good factor to add into. Like, you know how to reach people at the background, but at some point of time, you will have to speak to them face to face, maybe meet some people in for a coffee, or meet some people at an event. There will always be instances where you'll have to speak to them face to face. And it doesn't matter how much of hard work you would have done in the past writing to people. If you fail miserably in this or fail to take a step in this direction, speaking to them face to face, you're still losing out on a lot in making business connections, right? So if you want me to recommend certain books about this, do write to me. I will suggest some great books which have helped me with this. So the next slide is a very important slide. And if there is nothing that you want to take out of my speech, this is the only one thing I want you to really remember. And that is types of decisions. You know, this is a very famous speech by Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. And he speaks about 2 types of doors which people get access to in their life. Like the first type of a door is, you know, you just open the door, you walk into the door, and there's no going back, right? You can't come back after taking a certain decision. maybe like you've opted for engineering, you've completed 3 years of it, and then you're trying to feel frustrated that maybe this is not something I wanted to do. We've all been there, right? So there are a lot of people who have faced these kind of situations, but due to responsibilities and pressure, peer pressure, social pressure, a lot of factors kind of make you feel that you can't go back on, or you can't choose any other decision at this point of time. And then Jeff Bezos speaks about a second door, which is you tend to open the door, have a look inside, see what it is, and then take a pause, think about it, and then you're like, nah, this is not for me, and you close the door and walk into the next one. But that is what we feel, that in life, there are very few decisions like those. Like once you've committed for something, once the contract is signed, once you're there, you're falling into the water, you feel that there's no going back, right? There are very few decisions you feel that it's irreversible. But Jeff Bezos says that even though you feel that way in life, more than irreversible decisions, most decisions would be reversible. But every reversible decision comes with a cost. Some may be, for Jeff Bezos, it can be mergers and acquisitions. For us, it can be choosing a master's degree in science or a master's degree in business, something as simple as that. But I want you all to understand that most of the decisions you take in the business world, they take it with a grain of salt and understand that it can be reversed. You make mistakes, you can take a step back, correct yourself. Irrespective of the cost that is involved, be calculative and take decisions back if you feel it is wrong. It's okay to change directions professionally. It is okay to be wrong in certain parts as well. And we see people who are 29, 30, 35, and still they try out a new venture in a completely different directions. Those are the people who know that whatever they have done till now, and they don't like it, and they can do other things as well. So please understand, irreversible decisions are way more in life than, I'm sorry about that, reversible decisions are way more in life than irreversible ones. And this is something that you need to imprint in your head, that whenever you're going through a desperate times and you don't want to go ahead with anything anymore, always know you have a choice, you have an option to choose a different path. Choose the right path that suits you. And that's the same with making connections or making business connections, is that if that particular person that you've connected with for 3-4 years, made him your business partner, or he's your teammate, if things aren't working out, do feel free, take a step back and know that it is reversible. You can start off afresh. At the same time, you'll not lose as much as staying in the same path. So this is very important for youngsters like you guys. And this is one slide that I want all of you to remember from this speech especially. So I think I have covered most of these aspects as to how to reach out to people in the business world, how you would do certain research behind connecting with people, before connecting with people. At the same time, what tools of trade that you can use to enhance your skill set about reaching with people. At the same time, there's a lot of actionable steps that you would have to take at your end to make anything fruitful from whatever I have said right now. So lastly, I want to give a lot of ample amount of time for Q&A. I'm not sure how the live functionality is going to work over here for Q&A. If people can ask questions directly on the platform, if any of you have it right now, you can put it in the chat, or Nilay or someone could read out the question to me. Otherwise, you can always ping me. I've kept my details right over here with any sorts of questions, or you feeling you want me to review certain templates that you have for cold email or cold outreach. Definitely do that to me and I will help you out. All right. Any questions, guys?
Guys, if anybody has any questions, you can open your mic or send out your doubts in the chat box.
So I'm going to wait a bit for any good questions. But yeah, my details, hope you guys have noted it down. You can reach out to me as well. Is there anyone from BMS?
Sir, I would like to ask you something.
Oh, sure, definitely.
Sir, how did you started with the marketing?
My story is actually very unique, I would say. I studied from BMS College of Engineering itself, and I was from telecommunication engineering back then. So now it's called electronics and telecommunications, I guess. But post my graduation, I started my own restaurant, and it was at the heart of Bangalore, and we ran it for more than a year. And while I was running that business, I was also working as an engineer, and this was part-time. So with passion, with running that business, I kind of found my talent in marketing operations, and making connections with people, signing some contracts for kitchen design, menu design, kitchen consulting, and completely different domain as to what I studied in. At the same time, I didn't want the engineering background to go to waste, because it was never hard for me. I was still getting straight A's and getting distinctions. It was never that hard for me. So I didn't want that part of my life to go to waste. At the same time, I was doing really well in business as well. So I even wrote a book about building a restaurant brand. It's there on Amazon. And after all that research into what I wanted to do, I pursued my master's degree in marketing at Royal Melbourne University here in Melbourne, Australia, where I got to interact with a lot of growth engineers and product marketing people who have an intensive technical background. And that's when I realized that this current space where it's a club of marketing and data-driven marketing, where a lot of engineering and data engineering is involved, trying to test out different moods of people, responses of people, testing different creatives, and using a lot of softwares as well. So, be it Salesforce Marketing Cloud or a HubSpot Marketing CRM or even Pipedrive Sales CRM. There's immense amount of tools where only engineers can use them, or even for companies to benefit, they need engineers in this particular domain. And this field is actually growing exponentially right now in India. You'll find a lot of people, be it Cred or even in Byju's, they have specific growth engineers and marketing people specifically in growth part of their business who are engineers themselves. So then I took a shift, right? I took a shift into marketing. Post that, I also worked at Vodafone, since I had a telecommunication engineering background. I worked at Vodafone in Melbourne for almost 8 to 9 months, where I was a marketing coordinator for all their business products, their new IoT platforms, their business plans, and how to pitch in their technology fund for businesses to take loan to buy products, and a lot of other things as well. And at the same time, I wanted to diversify a bit. I had worked for bigger corporations. I wanted to try out startups, and especially in startups where I have a lot of scope to make the company grow. Right? Like, let's say you wrote 2 lines of code in a big company. We hardly understand the impact it causes in the real world. If it was the same 2 pages of code in a small startup company, you could really see what kind of impact it has in real world. So that is why I wanted to diversify myself and go away from working for huge companies where you do not make, you cannot see what kind of an impact it has in real world. Working for startups, you get to take a much higher risk in terms of, especially in marketing. So you'll work with budgets that you haven't been responsible for before. At the same time, you will also work things like you will head a launch for an entire country. For example, like how I had to launch our products specifically in South America, in Paraguay alone, where I don't know any Spanish. But at the same time, I need to launch a product there. So there's so much more to learn. At the same time, so much more accountability to have when it comes to working for a small startup. And that's where I digressed and I got myself into IoT and ag tech kind of an industry, which also involves with a lot of technical aspects. We use technologies like LoRa antennas, which are like long range antennas for specifically IoT. And a lot of electronics and telecommunication engineers out there might have read some research papers on this. So the skill set of understanding those kind of technical facts, at the same time matching those with the pain points and use case scenarios of users out here as farmers or cattle producers who are my particular target audience for in this company. It's only possible for engineers who understand both the technology and the customer side as well. And trust me on this one, if you are thinking of going into a field where you need both technical skills, at the same time you're very well versed with engaging people, communicating with people, then you can go places in this domain. There is a lot of scope for engineers in the technical based marketing side or domain, I would say. Yes, I've got a question here from Omkar. Many times when we message or type out a cold email, we don't get any response. That really demotivates. What should we do then? So, Omkar, I'll give you a suggestion that you can try. So let's say that you reach out to 4 or 5 people and then you don't get response from any of them. What people do in specifically marketing domain or sales domain, you'd say while reaching out to people is that they do something called as list building. So they build a list of say 100 to 200 people even before reaching out to any of them. So you build a list out of 100 and you break them down into sets of 20, sets of 10, however you are comfortable with. You break them down into sets and you test different messages to these sets. So the first set you would message something related to their work. The second set you would message something a little bit more personal or some event they have attended recently, they have posted on LinkedIn, you reference to that. Something like that, a little bit away from what the first message was. So you try out different things to each set. And once you do that, you will get a response from at least 1 or 2, I would say, if you go about to 100. It's all a numbers game. Yeah, I'm sure it demotivates you at times that nobody is replying, but you must understand that it's a numbers game. Like you drink water every day, you need to send cold outreach emails and messages every day. You need to keep doing that. What I'm giving you as a help is that you can build lists, you can segregate them into sets, and you can test what is working and what's not working. And if you do this for a month, in month 2, if you were getting maybe 4 or 5 responses initially, you will instantly get at least a double of them because you know what is working, what's working with people in this domain, what's working with this particular type of audience. And once you know that, you will nowhere be demotivated again because you're getting a lot of responses. So it's always understanding what works and what does not work when you send out cold emails or cold messages. I hope that kind of answers your questions. do a lot of list building and do a lot of testing of what kind of messages you are sending out. And I have seen often is that a lot of people also put in some kind of add some kind of humor in the message. So if you can try to add something that they have to reply to, then that would be a good thing, right? So you put in a joke, punch in a joke over there, and say that, oh, I heard this from you. That's really funny. Some kind of a personalized, intuition-based message in that kind of gives that kind of examples have got a better response, I would say, than just a bland message. Hi, I saw this. I require your help. Blah blah blah. Maybe that's not the right way to do that. So we'll find a lot of templates, use them, and also test out which works with you and for the audience that you are trying to reach out to. Yeah. And yes, thank you, Omkar, for the question. I'm still here for any other questions that you guys have.
So since we aren't receiving any more questions, that was a lovely and wonderful creative session, sir. We enjoyed it a lot. We got many valuable insights.
Yes,
and your journey you told, it was really lovely. It is inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nilay. Yes, I hope the live as well went really well. And do reach out to me, anybody who has some questions later on. Or if you need me to review some kind of cold emails that you're sending out to, do send that to me. I'm happy to respond back to you guys.
That is extremely sweet of you, sir, for helping us out in this way. Sir, I have another question.
Yes,
very generic question. For an example, if a startup is starting with something, maybe a very generic product, one hurdle but everybody faces the outreach. Even you can see we are conducting an event, and this particular event was completely free of cost. But then the major hurdle was for us was not the managing part of it, or was not actually what I can say, the organizing part of it. But then the major hurdle for us was also to gather this much amount of audience all together and have an amazing outreach. What are your opinions on that, and how one should optimize on that and improvise on that?
So for any event that you're doing, right? It can be a product or a service or just an event that you're doing out. All of these kind of activities, underlying factor is you need to have an entire campaign prepared before even like a week's time of the launch or the event. You need to have an entire campaign ready for it. When I say a campaign, what I mean is it has different sets to it, right? So the first set would be, what sort of channels are you going to use to promote your campaign? Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be LinkedIn? Or whatever channel that you want to use. And how do you select these channels? You need to know what audience you want to reach out to. Because the audience that is there on Facebook might not be there on LinkedIn, might not be there on Instagram, or might not be there on YouTube. So most of the campaigns that I have done in the past have always been a multi-channel approach, because our audience is quite segregated. You find audience in all different types of channels. And for an event like yours as well, I would say use all the channels. And then once you have what channels your audience are present in, and I'm talking only about online outreach right now. I'm not talking about any sort of offline outreach in this answer. So once you've figured out all the channels through which you want to reach out to your audience, next step would be to get in all the creatives out there. Creatives, when I say, be it posters, be it text information, video information, give samples of any content like PDFs, booklets. All of these things have to be ready like at least a week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks, maybe even a month before if you're doing a very big campaign. So once you have the marketing material ready and you know the channels where you're going to distribute it into, and then lastly, you will figure out about taking action, right? Trying to promote and see what's working, what's not working, and try to increase your budget or your workforce in the domains that you are getting attraction from. So I can't go into exact details of doing promotions specifically in any one channel, be it say Facebook or or Instagram or any particular channel, because it's going to take a lot of time. But what I can suggest you is that try to come up with innovative ways to kind of promote in each channel. So if 10 different event management companies are promoting an event in the same manner, what you can do differently in that particular domain kind of actually clicks. So for example, let us say that Big Boss is a huge show in India, right? Big Boss, like Salman Khan comes there, and we have regional Big Boss as well. What if you could get one of those contestants who have a little bit of, following or a kind of presence in one particular audience segment? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of engineering students would have seen one of those Big Boss shows or some cringeworthy show out there. So you get some sort of a celebrity who can do this for free, and again, use the same cold outreach emails, messages to reach out to them. And that kind of brings in a lot of attention to you, because it's something not a lot of others are not doing, right? So when I say celebrity, it does not have to be someone who comes up on TV or some sort of an internet show. It can be anyone with credibility in your domain, right? If you can get one of the top research people who have a lot of credibility to vouch for your event and write something about your event, then you can use that as a reference in all your marketing material. If you get one of a big college head of department or principal to recommend your event, use that as a reference point in all your marketing material. So these are certain key points which kind of increases credibility, at the same time gets you attention, at the same time brings in a lot of creative aspects into how you want to promote your event as well. And you can also incorporate a lot of like a gamification of the marketing promotion that you do, like put in, I think you are already doing some sort of quizzes, right? So you can what is that? Sponsor people on website, get featured on the website, people who have won the quiz in the past, so that they can, they share it with their friends, share it with their peers, their family, etc. So featuring people in general, people with credibility, people who are your audience, can give you a big boost in terms of an event management or an event, any sort of event campaign that you want to do. So that would be my first suggestion if you are not doing that already. The second one in terms of promotions would be that go bonkers on promotions, right? You need to try out 1,000 different things every day, because the algorithm is changing. Algorithms are changing, be it Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, whatever it may be. They're always changing and adapting to different things, right? And you're kind of stuck within that aspect. So go ahead with that, try out different things. And if you want me to look into any sort of promotion that you are doing currently, yes, you are. I'm happy to assist you in that.
Thank you, sir. Now, for the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Akshat.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nila. So, firstly, I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Prasanna Bhat, for taking time out of his busy schedule and agreeing to be a speaker for this consortium and delivering such an amazing session. Now, I would like to request Team CheckDit to share their screen and provide the speaker with the momentum.
Thank you so much for
Please
this.
accept this, sir. A token of gratitude from our side.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Following on, I would like to thank our mentor, Dr. Rajeshwari Hegde and Dr. Susan Elias ma'am for guiding us throughout a journey so that our team could execute their dreams. I would extend my thanks and gratitude to our lovely sponsors, Varivo Motors and EduCheck, along with all our collaborating organizations. Thank you guys. Without you all, we could have never achieved this kind of event. And most important is an outstanding audience. Thank you guys for attending the session and enriching your knowledge. And stay tuned for the next amazing and fun-filled panel discussion on for a progressive nation, should research drive change or should change drive research? I am sure you all are waiting eagerly for it. So stay tuned.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And I would like to thank Rajeshwari ma'am as well for this opportunity. And all right, all the best for you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Sir.